Hello, and thank you for tuning into AI Storytime. Sit back and enjoy a bounty hunter story, Blaze. Arya Blaze was born on the rough and lawless planet of Nexus Prime, a place where survival often depended on one's ability to fight and defend oneself. From a young age, Arya learned how to handle a blaster and other weapons, and she quickly developed a reputation as one of the best shots in her neighborhood. One morning, Arya woke up to gunfire and screaming. When she stepped outside, there was a large, chaotic fight among the group of thieves. Blades flashed and guns blazed as they clashed in a frenzied melee, each one desperate to emerge victorious. The air was filled with the sound of metal clashing and the shouts of the combatants as they struggled for dominance. Arya Blaze's mother was standing next to her just outside the tent. She was a retired bounty hunter, a formidable woman with a fierce reputation that had earned her the respect of her peers. She stood tall and proud, her piercing green eyes taking in everything around her with a sharp, analytical gaze in the chaos. Arya's mother looked at her daughter sternly, her eyes narrowed in concern. "Arya, I want you to go hide in the tent," she said firmly. "I don't want you out here in the middle of this battle." Arya looked at her mother defiantly, her hand hovering over the grip of her old, used, beaten-up blaster pistol. "But I can help," she protested. "I'm a skilled bounty hunter, just like you." Her mother shook her head. "I know you are, Arya. But this isn't a fight for someone of your experience. These thieves are ruthless and dangerous, and I don't want to see you get hurt." Arya hesitated, torn between her desire to help and her respect for her mother's wishes. She knew that her mother was only trying to protect her, but she also knew that she was more than capable of holding her own in a fight. "Please, Arya," her mother said, her voice softening. "I understand that you want to help, but I need you to trust me on this. Go hide in the tent, and I'll handle the thieves." Arya sighed, her shoulders slumping in defeat. "Okay," she said reluctantly. "I'll go hide in the tent. But you be careful out there, all right?" Her mother smiled and ruffled Arya's hair affectionately. "I always am, sweetheart. Now go on, before it's too late." Arya waited anxiously in the tent, her heart heavy with worry as she listened to the sounds of the battle raging outside. She hoped that her mother would be able to handle the thieves and come out of the fight unscathed, but she couldn't shake the feeling of fear that settled in her stomach as she waited anxiously for the battle to end. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the sounds of the battle began to die down. Arya held her breath, waiting for some sign that her mother was okay. But as the minutes ticked by, there was no sign of her mother, no indication of what had happened. Unable to bear the uncertainty any longer, Arya gathered her courage and stepped out of the tent. What she saw made her heart sink. Her mother lay on the ground, her body still and lifeless. Arya rushed to her side, tears streaming down her face as she knelt beside her mother's body. "No," she whispered, her voice choked with grief. "This can't be happening. Not you, Mom. Not you." But despite her anguished words, Arya knew that it was too late. Her mother was gone, taken from her in the heat of battle. And as Arya sat there, cradling her mother's body in her arms, she couldn't help but notice the blaster pistol that her mother had always carried at her side. The Nemesis, it was a sleek and deadly weapon with a black and silver design that hid its immense power. The Nemesis was a family heirloom passed down through generations of bounty hunters. Arya's mother had always told her that the Nemesis was a symbol of their family's legacy, a reminder of all the brave hunters who had come before them. And as Arya looked at the pistol, she knew that she had to take it. With tears streaming down her face, Arya carefully lifted the Nemesis from her mother's side. She felt a sense of responsibility wash over her as she held the weapon in her hands, a duty to honor her mother's memory and continue her legacy. And so, with a heavy heart and a fierce determination, Arya Blaze took up the Nemesis and set out on her next mission, determined to become the greatest bounty hunter the galaxy had ever known, in honor of the woman who had inspired and guided her every step of the way. Now 10 years later, Arya had made a name for herself, taking down some of the most dangerous criminals and fugitives in the galaxy. She became known for her fearlessness and her willingness to take on any job, no matter how risky or dangerous. Arya was a loner by nature, preferring to work alone rather than rely on anyone else, but she had a strong code of ethics and always made sure to bring her targets to justice. Despite the dangers and challenges she faced, Arya loved her work, and she was always ready for her next hunt with the nemesis at her side. Arya Blaze was hot on the trail of her latest target, a notorious criminal named Carmack who had a hefty bounty on his head. She had been tracking him for weeks, following leads and clues across the galaxy until she finally caught wind of him on a remote planet in the Outer Rim. Arya Blaze's ship soared through the endless expanse of space, its engines roaring as it hurtled towards the distant, Malastare, where her target, Carmack, was rumored to be hiding. The planet was a harsh and unforgiving place, a rocky, barren world that was home to a variety of dangerous creatures and criminal elements. It was known as a haven for fugitives and outlaws, a place where even the most notorious criminals could lay low and avoid the authorities. As Arya's ship approached the landing dock, she could see the dilapidated buildings and rusting hulks of abandoned ships that dotted the landscape. The air was thick with the smell of engine grease and burning metal, and the sound of clanging and welding echoed through the dock. Arya expertly guided her ship through the chaos, deftly dodging other ships and debris as she made her way to a clearing where she could land. She brought the ship down with a gentle thud, the landing gear absorbing the impact as it touched down on the hard, packed dirt of the landing dock. As Arya powered down the engines and stepped out of the ship, she took a moment to survey her surroundings. The ship was a sleek and formidable vessel, with a black and silver hull and a pair of powerful engines that could take her anywhere in the galaxy. It had served her well on countless missions, and Arya knew that she could always count on it to get her out of a tight spot. Arya Blaze was a tall, slender woman with bright red hair and piercing green eyes. She had a sharp, angular face and a determined set to her jaw, and she carried herself with a confidence that commanded respect. Despite her slender frame, Arya was strong and agile, able to hold her own against even the most formidable of opponents. She was a skilled fighter, trained in the art of hand-to-hand combat, and armed with a quick wit and a steady aim. Arya was dressed in a black jumpsuit that was well worn from years of use. It was adorned with various pockets and pouches that contained all manner of tools and equipment that she might need in the field. Her blaster pistol was holstered at her hip, a testament to her profession as a bounty hunter. Please tune in for part 2 where we continue the story of Arya Blaze. That is the end of this part. Hope you enjoyed. Please tune in as we finish the story.